Hello, magical ones. Welcome to this episode, this nighttime episode of the Faerie Witch vlog. Maleficent and I here. We welcome you. If you're a subscriber or you're brand new, either way, we thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope this will be kind of an amusing episode for you. Today or tonight, I wanted to talk about movies, fairies and movies. And since Dark Fairy Day is almost upon us and the holidays are right around the corner, I wanted to give you maybe some movie recommendations, or at least just give you a list of fairy movies that would be great gifts, for somebody who's into fairy lore or just wants to enjoy a good fairy movie, for any age, that kind of thing. So I thought I would just run down some, list of some of mine favorite ones and some that I think that, are worth looking into. So obviously, I've got my favorite dark fairy representation right here. And I was kind of thinking maybe it would be kind of fun, since I haven't had a chance to do it yet. I thought it might be kind of fun to do like a little transformation for the Dark Fairy Day, aka Halloween. And so I'm thinking about it as I'm talking to you with this opening. I'm thinking, I'm thinking about it. Um, for those of you who are brand new to the channel, I'm the Fairy Witch, and I welcome you. And again, if you're new to the channel and don't know what we do here, pretty much anything. I try to keep it so that you don't know what's going to come next. You never know what you're going to get. Each episode I try to do something different, but it's usually related to fairies or the cats, or I might show you some artwork. We might talk poetry. I've got an upcoming Sylvia Plath episode coming. Um, I've got baking episodes, and right now we've done a couple, I think, for this month of October. So there will be more coming for November, and a couple of different treats. And I got cat treats episode coming up. So I mean, you just don't know what you're gonna get. And I do talk about gardening, talk about art. I am a knitter, so that's gonna come in studio time videos and projects. So I mean, if you've not subscribed, feel free to, because that way you get the notification of what's coming up, and hopefully it will, maybe one episode doesn't grab you, but maybe the next one will. So I hope you'll check us out. Check us out and stay in touch, and let me know what you think, and give us a like if you like, and donate to our PayPal, which would help us immensely since I still don't have any income. It's a real struggle here to keep going, so it would be great if you'd like to do that. So yeah, that is just a little bit of my background. So I'm thinking maybe I'll try the transformation. It may not be a complete 360, but maybe I could do something. So, how about Maleficent, sprinkle a little fairy dust and let's see what we can conjure up. So, to begin with, some movies I thought I would recommend. Well, obviously, you know who my favorite dark fairy is now. Here we go. Okay. But we're not going to just talk about dark fairies. I am going to mention other fairies. Whoops. So, here we go. One really good one is Fairy Tale. And Fairy Tale, a true story. Now, there are going to be some spoilers, but I'm not going to give you the endings of anything. So if you haven't seen them, don't worry. I'm not going to tell you how it turns out. But I will tell you a little bit about each one. So in this one is a fairy tale, a true story. Now, that is semi-true. This movie is really good, and it centers around an actual fairy investigation case. So back in England, and I'm sure you've heard of it. If you're into fairy lore or even thought about it, you've heard about the Cottingley fairy hoax. And it was the two cousins two little girls, two cousins, and they've claimed that they were able to see fairies and took the photographs of them. And it got worldwide attention. They it just exploded, and it was right after the war, so everybody wanted to believe in this and believe in good luck and have something to look forward to. And then later the truth came out. So this movie is actually based on the novel version of the whole story. So it's not exactly accurate, but it's still a really good movie. So I do recommend it. Then we've got this one, a couple of these. This is the Disney movies, and there's a series of them. So we've got these two, the Pirate Fairy and Tinkerbell. This is the very first. No, this is not. These are two of the series, and I believe there are 2 or 3 more, and I have them, and I should have put them in order. Here's the Never Beast that is part of the series. And this is the very first one. So this one gets it started. So if you haven't seen any of them yet, you want to start with this one. Okay, this is the very first movie that they made. And then the others come after. And I forget the order. Oops. Here's the other one, Secret of the Wings. This is very good. And this one too. This is also part of the series, okay? Alright, so, to be honest, I've kind of lost track of the order of these Disney Tinkerbell movies. So, I'm just going to give you a really quick rundown. First of all, like I say, this is the first one. This one gets the series started, so you want to get this one first, okay? This one introduces Tinkerbell to Pixie Hollow and shows how she was born and how she meets everybody and how she learns how to be a tinker, okay? So this one starts the whole thing. The animation on these plus are really good, and there's some famous people who do the voices, like Angelica Houston, Mae Whitman, Jesse McCartney, I think his name is. So they do have some celebrities. One of the movies has Timothy Dalton does one of the voices. Let's see, this one. This one is The Lost Treasure. This one is really good. This one it talks about Tinkerbell's need to kind of realize that she's got a temper, she needs to learn patience, and she needs not to take people for granted, that kind of thing. Has a good little lesson in it. And there's definitely the romance or friendship between her and Terrence, who Jesse McCartney plays. So, yeah, this one is a cute, good one. Let's see. Secret of the Wings. This one is I always think of this one as the winter episode, because she actually goes into the land of winter and meets her sister, Periwinkle. And Periwinkle is one of my absolute favorites of this series. So this one introduces Periwinkle and talks about their learning about each other and trying to figure out how they can be together, hang out together, that kind of thing. And again, Timothy Dalton has a part in this one, and it's really good. Then this one here, The Never Beast, this one centers around Animal Fairy Fawn, who is my absolute favorite. And this one is definitely got more to do with the animals of Pixie Hollow, because obviously Fawn works with the animals. That's her thing. But just to warn you, even though the animation is really good, the story is good, I don't recommend this one for really young kid viewers, only because only because and I don't want to give it away, but it just the um, the main animal, uh, they have misconceptions about him, not knowing what he is and who he is, what he's gonna do. So the fairies fear him, so of course they're gonna react in that manner. And I will tell you that nobody dies, so I'm gonna give you that spoiler. Nobody dies. Everybody comes out of it, but the ending is gonna make you cry. So have plenty of Kleenex and tissues nearby. And like I say, you might not want the really young kids to watch this one until they're older, only because you're probably going to have children who are either going to be very sad or they're going to start crying. And if you don't want to deal with that, then don't let them watch this one until they get older. But again, if you want to watch it, great, but just be aware, it's going to make you cry. This one is the Pirate Fairy one, and this one is kind of cool. This one introduces the pirates, that from Peter Pan. So here we get to see how Captain Hook actually gets his start. And it's all because of this little fairy here. So the whole story kind of revolves around her, but again, it's more about working with the pixie dust, how important it is, what it can do, but then also the sub thing is the pirates come into it. So Captain Hook is his beginnings are talked about in this movie. So it's kind of cool. It does give you an intro into Peter Pan. So I thought, okay, that was clever. And then this one is another one. This one, Tinkerbell has, it's later than it's after the introductions there. And so this one, she meets up with a little girl who's really lonely. Her father works all the time, doesn't have time for her. And so Tinkerbell has to fix or tinker with the father and the little girl by giving her friendship and trying to work with it. It's a good story too. It's a really good story. And this one I would say is fine for little kids, in my opinion. Okay. If you're not sure, then you as the parent or older sibling, you guys watch it first and then decide if you think your kids are ready for it. But this one, I mean, there's no negativity, and nobody gets hurt, nobody dies, everything's okay, no. So, again, this is another one that's really good part of the series. So those are the Tinker Bells. Enter Pixie Hollow. And then another one, of course, I probably have heard this one. It's been around for quite a while. Fern Gully. And Fern Gully here has a couple of really good songs, and it's got a really good cast as far as for the voices. You got Christian Slater, Robin Williams, Tim Curry, Samantha Mathis, um, trying to think who else. I know there's a couple other people in there. But anyway, you've probably heard of this one because it's been around for quite a while. Elton John does, I think, one or two of the songs. Um, and it's all about the fairies who live in the Amazon jungle, is kind of that reference, the rainforest, and how the rainforests are being cut down. Meanwhile, it's changing our environment, it's messing things up, and it's damaging the wildlife that live there, as well as all the fairies who live there and take care of it. So this one, if you haven't seen it, this one is a good one. And the animation is pretty good. And like I say, it's just one of the older ones, but it's definitely worth watching. Now, another one I really like, and I guess in the box office it didn't do very well. At least that's what I heard. I don't know why, except the only thing I could say maybe is a slight criticism is it's kind of like an operetta. The characters pretty much sing their way through the entire movie. So plan to have more singing than dialogue in this one, but strange magic. And this one, I think, is a George Lucas. So, yeah, Mr. Lucas took a break from Star Wars to actually make a fairy movie. And they actually based one of the characters on him. I guess they kind of drew it to look a little like him. And I don't think he does the voice, though. I don't think he does the acting, but they kind of modeled the character to look a little like him. But this one has some good voice actors in this, and the music is really good. He used pop music. They used pop songs like what is it? Stronger from by Kelly Clarkson, I think. Um, there's some other ones I can't. I know them when I hear them, but I don't know who sings them originally. So anyway, but yeah, it has a good story. Again, it's a little bit reminiscent of kind of Beauty and the Beast, a little bit. It's definitely got that vibe, but it still is really good. The animation, I think, is fantastic. You have to watch it several times to watch all the new, like the characters just move their eyes and give them enough care, to give you the point of what's happening. This kind of thing. It's really good. I think the animation was really good. So again, story is great. So Strange Magic, you definitely want to check that one out as well if you haven't already. And then, of course, we've got we have Maleficent. Oh yes, got Maleficent. Angelina Jolie. This is the first one. There are two movies. This is the very first one. And this one introduces Maleficent to all of us, as well as to Aurora, or who would be Sleeping Beauty later. This one gives you some really interesting background on Maleficent, how she actually started out. She was a fairy. Now, see, when I grew up watching Sleeping Beauty, which was always my favorite Disney fairy tale, I always looked at Maleficent as a witch. I always thought she was an evil witch. You know, that's how it came across, because in that one she doesn't have wings, she never did. It's never mentioned, it's never said. She's either a sorceress or she's a witch. That was the impression I grew up watching. Now this one is based on a novel, and I do have the copy but not with me. But this is based on a novel, and in that novel the author is saying, no, no, not a witch. She was a fairy, and something bad happened to her, and she's out for revenge, and that's what causes her to go back to King Stephen's castle, put the curse on the baby, and it gets that whole ball rolling that we're very familiar with, that storyline. But this one actually gives you some background on who Maleficent actually was and what happened to her. So it's really good. And of course, it's, real people, and the settings and um the the background that they use, and like for the Moors, and they're absolutely gorgeous. I mean, Disney really did a really great job. It's just really a beautiful movie to watch. You get lost in the setting. You get lost in the forest as she's walking through and all this kind of thing. It's really neat. It's really cool. And so this one, definitely, you gotta see it. If you're interested in Sleeping Beauty's story, you want to know more about Maleficent, you need to watch this one. Now, having said that, This is the sequel. The sequel came out, I think, a couple years after the first one. This one, I'm going to get to the top here so you can see the full title. This one has the same actress who plays Aurora. You still got Angelina Jolie, thankfully. And then they've added Michelle Pfeiffer. And there's a couple other actors and actresses in there. They've added like Warwick Davis. He has a small part in it. And so this one continues on from here. And it does twist. Now, when I first saw this one, first bought it, I bought it without even seeing it. So when I got it home and I watched it, the storyline threw me. I didn't expect the way they took it. I didn't expect how it went, how the plot went. And when I first saw it, I was kind of like, hmm. And I kind of felt like the movie was a letdown. But then I watched it again. I waited a while, watched it again. So now I already knew what was going to happen. And so I could actually watch it. And then I liked it. Then I'm like, okay, I get it. So again, they go more into her background, how she was actually a fairy, how things started, and it progresses the story along because obviously Aurora is involved with the prince, so they expand on that as well. And of course, Michelle Pfeiffer, who can be a wonderful heroine in movies, and she can be a wonderful villainess too. She kind of walks that line until until you find out the truth. And I'm not gonna give it away, so I'm not gonna tell you what happens. But again, yeah, you're gonna want to watch the second one as well. Now, I have heard that they might be making a third one. This is 2024. I have heard that they may already be in production for a third one. I'm not sure about that. That's still kind of just hearsay, but that would be cool if they do a third one. I don't know exactly where they would go with it, but they'll figure it out. They'll do something, right? Okay. So then a couple of other ones I want to mention are for younger viewers, and you can't have fairies without Mattel. Mattel had to get in on it too. So they created the Barbie movie series Fairytopia. And I think this is the first one of the series. I'm not positive, but I think this one might be the first one. And again, it's this story of a fairy girl who doesn't have wings, but she wants to be a full fairy and she has to prove herself. And, she's got a little critter friend with her. And of course, there's a villain in the story that she ends up having to come up against and, kind of fight it out. But this one is the Mattel uh, series. And so we've got this one, Mariposa and the Fairy Princess. So that's another one. They're both good, and the stories are good. I think that younger viewers would enjoy both of these. They're not scary, they're not dangerous, anything like that. It's well done. I will say that I feel that the animation, and that's just my opinion, I do feel that the animation on these are, they're different. They're different than the other ones I've already shown you. And so obviously they've used different artists, they've used different programming. So you can definitely tell a difference between this one and Strange Magic, or this one and the Tinkerbell ones. So I'm just saying, for me, I felt the animation, the style could have been different, better. That's just my choice. Like I say, I like I think the Disney ones and the Strange Magic, their animations were really good. I'm not saying that these are bad. I'm just saying I just didn't think that I just like the other ones better. Their style, whatever. But again, these are good for younger viewers. Okay, Next step, and we're getting a stack here. The next one are some comedies, and I think all ages can enjoy these. It's the first one and the second one. Now, granted, the way they've got this is it's like it's a sequel, but for me, it doesn't really come across as a sequel. Okay, so the first one, The Tooth Fairy, this one has Dwayne Johnson, who's a hockey player, professional hockey player who's having troubles. And Ashley Judd plays his girlfriend. Julie Andrews has a really good part in this. She does a great job. And there's another gentleman. I think he's a British actor. I don't remember his name, but he does a really good job in this too. His character's funny, and Billy Crystal has a part in it. So this one is good. This one, is it's funny, but it's got its dark moments. It's got its intense moments. But the ending, of course, is great. It's funny. And so, it's definitely a good one to watch. Now, this one, like I say, they put them together on this DVD, but it's not really a sequel. I I mean, you could interpret that way. For me, I didn't. I think it was like just a different story. But in the second one here, this one they've got oh my gosh, I forgot his name. You probably recognize him. Is it Larry the Cable Guy? I think. I cannot read the fine print on the back, and I've watched this several times. I think it is my memory, but yeah, I think it's Larry the Cable Guy. But he ends up he's like he's a car mechanic who ends up having his wife divorces him, and he wants to get back in her good graces. She teaches after school, like an after school or summer school program for kids, and so he ends up volunteering with her. In that process, of course, he upsets a child, which causes the problem, and the Tooth Fairy, Fairyland, well, they call him to account and say, guess what? You did this and you did that against us, so now you're a tooth fairy for a week. And so the little girl here, the little actress who ends up playing his boss, if you want to call her that, she is funny. She is great. I think she really deserves a lot. And they have a good camaraderie, these two. So it's a cute story. Matthew, my boyfriend, actually likes this one. He likes both of them, but he likes this one. This one is lighter. It doesn't have as many deep moments as the first one. But again, they're both good. I think that your whole family would enjoy them. And they've got good messages and I'm lighthearted. So yeah, I recommend those. And then this one is really good. I really like this one too. This one you may have heard of, and it's an Irish movie based on an Irish novel, and Secret of Rowan Inish. And the little girl who's pretty much in the entire movie from beginning to end, she is fantastic. I forget her name. I think it might be Courtney something. Again, my memory, and I cannot read the fine print on the back of this thing, but yeah, she is amazing. She's really fantastic. And there are a couple of people in the movie that I recognize from other movies. I don't know their names at the moment, but anyway, this one has some beautiful scenery, landscape. It's right, on the ocean, and it's just gorgeous. Now, the idea of this is that we've got the seal, and the seal is actually Selkies. So if you're not familiar with Selkies, let me just give you a quick overview. Selkies are the Irish, or one of the Irish fairies, and the whole point of the Selkies is that they are actually seals that live in the ocean. They have a whole community out there, but every once in a while they can come on land and they're able to take the seal skin off and their human form is revealed. And then they can stay on land for a while if they choose to, or they can. But if the fable goes, the folklore goes, that if someone, like usually it's a human male, if he finds the Selkie and wants her to stay with him, he has to steal her seal skin and hide it so she can't find it. And as long as she can't find it, she has to stay with him. And it usually ends up in, marriages and kids and all that. But then when the Selkie finds her skin, she's got to put it back on. As soon as she finds it, she has to put it back on so she can go back to the ocean and rejoin the rest of her family. So that's the folklore. So that kind of revolves around this movie idea. Anyway, it's really good. Like I said, the little girl herself is just amazing. She does a great job. But it's a very Irish movie, and I love it. I love to watch it, but I love to watch scenery. So again, I recommend that one. Okay, then the next one I recommend is, I'm gonna move this, is Leprechauns. I saw this one originally when they ran it as a 2-day mini series. I think it was on like Stars or one of those TV channels that we had back then. And it was years ago. And then years later, I found it. Found the DVD at Target, believe it or not. They had it. And so I've had it every time. So this one is really good. Another Irish one. It's filmed, I believe, in Ireland. It's got Randy Quaid, Whoopi Goldberg. Is it I think it's Tony Curran. I think. Um. Oh, and the other fella. There's another actor. Oh my gosh, I've forgotten his name. I can see his face, but I've forgotten his name. There's at least 4 more people that you probably would recognize. I just can't remember the actors' names right now. Oh my gosh. But anyway, this movie is really good. It's about the trooping fairies versus the leprechauns. So again, we've got the fairy princess here and the leprechaun boy. Very good romance. It's very sweet, but just so you know, it's the Irish fairy version of Romeo and Juliet. Basically, that's what it is. But it's really good. It's really good. And they have some segment scenes where they do the Irish dancing, which I love. I love watching that. So if you've seen Michael Flatley, that's the kind of dancing scenes they have. But unfortunately, Michael's not in the movie. It would have been great if he was, but he's not. But anyway, yeah. So this is a really good one, and I always watch this one around St. Patrick's Day in March. So yeah, I love this one. So again, I do recommend it. And then the last one I have here in our little stack, excuse me, is Epic. To be honest, I had never heard of this movie. Apparently, it's been out quite a while. I didn't hear about it until last year, and I just YouTube was running it for free on one of their movie channels, and I thought, interesting. I've never heard of that. And even though they don't plug it as a fairy movie, when I saw the preview, I'm thinking, those are fairies. I mean, not everybody's got wings, but they're fairy beings. They have to be. So I watched it because I got to watch it for free. So I watched it, and it's about fairies. It's just great. It really is. The animation is fantastic. The story is really cute. I think the story is original too. It's great that they didn't go with a story already been done. Actually picked something different. Beyonce has a small part in it. I think she sings the ending title song. I think. Um, but again, it's a really good story, and the whole thing is that it's told from two different perspectives. So you've got the human man who researches and studies all these creatures, even though nobody believes him when he says that, he's dedicated his life to studying all these little fairy woodland creatures where he lives. Nobody believes him. His own family doesn't believe him. That's why his wife left him and took the daughter and all that. Now, granted, it may sound a little heavy. It isn't really. The way they do it is good. So your kids would be okay watching this one. Um, but the daughter comes back to visit him. And of course, she knows the story because she grew up with him, saying these guys are real. She didn't believe it. So she comes back thinking he's. And in the process, though, she finds out that he was right. And she ends up being shrunk to because all these little critters are only so small compared to her and her father because they're human size. So she ends up being shrunk and ends up in their actual world, and of course they're fighting a battle with the negative dark forces. They're trying to kill them, and she has to get involved. But then eventually she has to go back to her own world. So it's really good. It's a great story. I won't tell you how it ends. It's funny. It's got some really funny characters in it. It has some great lines. So, yeah, I do recommend Epic. So that's another one. So as far as movies go, there are other ones. If you're more interested in something else, keep in mind there's unicorn movies out there like The Last Unicorn. That's an old animated one, but it's still good. Got a great couple songs in that one. Um, if you like gnomes, then I recommend Gnomeo and Juliet. And yes, I said Gnomeo, not Romeo. Gnomeo, Gnomeo. So yeah, funny. But I think Elton John helped produce that one. And that one, there's two. There's the first one, Romeo and Juliet. Then there's a sequel, and the sequel is good. The sequel's okay. I like the first one better. The first one has some famous actors and actresses doing the voices. Uh, Ozzy Osbourne, he does one of the voices. I'm trying to think who does the lead parts, and I can't remember her name. I've forgotten her name. But there's a couple of famous people that right off the bat, they're in that one. In the second one I think is Romeo and Juliet with Sherlock Holmes or something. Yeah, it was a weird pair up, but I think Johnny Depp plays Sherlock in that one. But anyway, the animation for those are both really good. The first one, like I say, has a couple really good songs. Elton John and Lady Gaga do a duet in that one, and so they're good. So there's a couple other options if you're interested. You want those. Another one too is the No Mobile. If you old enough as you're old as I am, you remember that one from Disney. Um, that's a good one. I like that one. So there's more out there, and I have heard there's TV shows, like there's other movies, there's other animated ones. You'll find that a lot of fairy movies and fairy series, most of them are animated. Try to find something that where you're actually watching a real actor and they're not doing it just funny, that kind of thing. It's rare, it's hard to find that and find one that's good. But they are out there. Like I say, you got Fairy Tale. Another one I could recommend is Oh, what's the name of that one? I think it's a fairies game. I think it is. A fairies game. It's on here on YouTube if you want to watch it for free to see if you like it. The other one is Forest Fairies. That one is good too. And again, that one's real people, real stories. Um, and both of those are good, so I can recommend those. I don't have the DVDs of them. They're on YouTube. You can look them up. But yeah, so there's a couple there. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys may have heard some of other ones, but you're going to find a lot of them are for kids, they're animated, that kind of thing. And there's some really good ones out there. Like I say, I just showed you a bunch, but there's even more out there I don't even have the names of. You have to go through the list. But definitely look into it. You know, if you're interested in fairies and you want to just enjoy a good movie with your family or just have something running while you're knitting, which I often do, I give you this pile, this list, and if you know of any other good ones you want to recommend, please leave me a comment. Let me know, because maybe I haven't heard of it yet. So, and if I can think of something else and you've asked me, I'll do what I can to answer you, and we can compare notes. So, anyway, I hope that you find that you'll like these. If you haven't seen them, check them out. Like I say, they're great gifts for people who want to get into fairies or just enjoy fairy stories. These are good ones to go with. So, and they're a great way to introduce children to fairies too. You know, believing in fairies is not just a kid's thing, but it's not something that I think that we should allow ourselves to grow out of. You know, a lot of adults do. And it's we need to hang on to our magic and our dreams too, especially when you get older. Cuz life can really let you have it, and it's like you got to have something, you know. So, keep the fairies coming into your life by watching a movie. So I hope you found this interesting, that you'll look into some of these movies if you haven't already. I thank you for watching. Feel free to, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, like the video if you would. That would be great. Feel free to pass on my channel name to other people if you'd like. I'd appreciate it. If you'd like to donate to us, to our PayPal link that's listed here on the channel in blue, I'd appreciate it so much because I really need the help. And I hope you guys have a great fairy day, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.